welcome. I'm Tanya of the School of Earth, here today to talk about sacred earth essences. And I'm here standing under Grandmother Willow, who is at the heart, the centre of my croftland here. So sacred earth essences, I was called about 7 years ago to start co-creating originally flower essences. And it soon became clear that this was something beyond the ordinary essence. They are stories of co-creation. And within them they carry the codes of this recreation that we are moving through. So I say that they encode a potent moment in time, harnessing the wild, harnessing the elemental kingdoms, the trees, the wind, the sky, the earth, the wildness, the flowers, the plants, the rocks, the trees. And these essences are gifts from the elemental kingdom for our consciousness as it's evolving through these times. They are like a plumb line, like a weighted line that drops down into the core of these patterns that we experience through being human, and through being able to drop into the core of those stories. They then are able to start to unravel and expand and help us to see them more clearly, to see the patterns more clearly, to see those influences. And that doesn't change as we go through the ascension process. We are moving from a more polarized world into a more harmonious world, but that dualism still exists. We're still needing to bring that into harmony. There's still the subtleties. Hearing the bird who's wanting very much to be heard. I believe that might be a grasshopper warbler. I'll check later. So that brings a dromedar, right, into the mix here, along with Grandmother Willow. And the thistles that are just about starting to bloom. So so as we move into that more of a harmony, so the polarization that kind of pulls us apart, like, with magnets that repel and have those extremes, as we need those extremes less and less, we can come to a place of harmony where we can alchemize and allow those to coexist. And so what these essences do, like with this plumb line, they bring us back to that center point where they already exist, those patterns, those core woundings. Before that occurs, before that distortion occurs, they bring us back to the seed point, back to the core. If you think like an apple core, within the apple there is both the seed and the blossom of the original tree. And from that original tree, the blossom then becomes fertilized and grows into a fruit. And then within the fruit is the seed of the new tree. So it carries all of this information, the alpha and the omega. It carries both. So when we can go back to that point before the distortion happens, before the confusion happens, before we enter into the matrix mind, we can then find that harmony of those things that are still troubling us. And this is what the essences gift us. And so as we move into that recreation of going back to that original point where we can find the harmony rather than the polarity, we are then entering into this co-creation story. And we are part then of the reweave. So Sacred Earth Essences are a month-long journey. They're like a vision quest, and each one holds the key to one of these seed points, one of these points of recreation, of co-creation and recreation, of those stories that we all carry. And some of us have already agreed to specific stories, to specific soul contracts as we move through this life along our path. Did you see the butterfly? The transformation. Okay. So these are month-long vision quests with each essence. I have at the moment about 30, which I'll be gradually bringing out in my own timing, in divine timing. And they've been waiting for a long time. I've done some work with them, and I have my own frustrations around this. They are a living book. I have had to go through my own processes with each essence as it emerges into the world. I've had to live through these stories so that I can then bring them out into the world. And of course, now I understand, I realize that this is the perfect time. Today is the 21st of June 2025, and whether you're watching this close to that date or later on, you'll understand what a crucial time we are going through and have been going through for some time, obviously, but especially these past few months. There's been big shifts, which are still ongoing. So these are a month-long vision quest, and within those there is both the story, the meditation transmission, guidance around how to work with them. So my guides called them a pop-up shaman in a bottle. So though it's self-led, there is a lot of content, there's a lot of material there to really support you with those processes. And this has been a lot of dedication and devotion to this for me, because though on one hand, when you receive this information, it's simple, but to try and explain that in the world in a way that makes it sound as simple as it really is has been a challenge. And again, this has all happened in divine timing. So there's many essences that I work with. One of the first to call me was Gorse, and yet Gorse was not one of the first that I worked with. Also, I make fungi, or co-create fungi essences. Fly Agaric and Lion's Mane are the two so far. And I've had a big connection with the fungi kingdoms for a long time now. I've been a forager for nearly 3 decades, and mushrooms were always my thing. I also teach foraging courses. So it was a real surprise, though, when I was first called to make mushroom essence. And now I understand the process, I understand what these essences for, but it was a real journey in trusting my guidance, trusting what was happening, and that these were something far beyond other essences that are available. They are potent moments in time. They are key codes and snapshots of these stories that we all carry, um, and that we are still unraveling to recreate in co-creation with the elemental kingdoms. So, I only recommend, because of that process, that taking one at a time. And you are held within the container of that essence. I've also started co-creating quantum packets, which involve some of the essence teams from various sacred earth essences, and these hold this sort of energetic bubble for this work to unfold. And it's the same with the essences. As soon as you connect with that, you are held within this energetic bubble, and so it's contained. It is potent work, it is deep work, and it is part of the reweaving of what we are bringing into being. Sending you much love from my heart to yours, and from the heart of the croft, and from the heart of Willow and the birds and all the plants and elemental beings here.